Howdy, y'all. I'm Piper.
Wait, you're Piper.
Yeah. No, I'm Element. I'm the lead of Affray. I'm with Pyru and Piper. Pyru is the lead 3D artist, and Piper is the lead audio engineer of Affray. You guys want to
Hello.
introduce yourselves?
What he says is half right. I'm also his father.
God damn it! So you guys want to introduce yourselves? Piper.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
you've done
Alphabetical order.
pretty much done half the work for me, but yeah, as he said, hi, my name is Pyru. I am the lead 3D artist and I suppose level designer of the project.
Yeah.
Primarily, I do a lot of sort of technical work, which is fun. Piper?
And I'm Piper. They abuse my voice.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'm the audio director, so about 90% of the sounds you hear are from me.
And all the ones you guys complained about are being improved.
Every single one. We're
Literally.
doing a major overhaul in the entire audio department.
Yeah, as you guys probably could tell, I'm a little half awake, but I'm gonna try bitching through this. So it's just been hard to keep a consistent sleeping schedule with all this going on. So but yeah, so
Big Con ever made it.
I guess I'll talk about the stuff we've been working on. It's overall pretty basic things, but for example, we just started working on what's it called? Foregrips. So pretty much what we're doing is instead of making it so we have to make entirely new animations if to support foregrips and other attachments for firearms, we are making it so we're adding an additive layer of animation to the left arm, which we kind of already do for things like, let's say, like
Waving.
interactions, and waving. But we're kind of doing it like as a layer for actually holding the weapon. So that means like if we were to make any gun and have any of the base animations for it, we could just literally slap in an existing hand pose with IK posing to add extra ways of holding it.
And it saves us a lot of development time in the long term of things.
Long term, yeah. It's a bit of an initial setup, of course, and it's still work in progress, but I'll show kind of what it looks like once I get to better lighting here. Give me a second. So just kind of show it. I did unmute OBS, right? That'd be so awkward if I didn't fucking do that.
Actually,
Okay, we're good. Okay. I'm just going to make sure because... yeah, so as you can see, like this is the actual animation where he's just holding a UMP with his thumb up. But there's an additive animation. Oops, I accidentally hit text chat instead of this debug key. And it poses the actual hand to the foregrip. And it uses its relative location. So if we were to add it to the weapon data itself, it'll know where it's supposed to hand on top of it. So, yay.
immersion.
I think Armand even tested it with the pistol, which is a little silly, but it works.
Yeah, I hate all Barney, but yes.
To be 100% clear, we are not developing any sort of foregrips for the pistols.
No. At least like not the sidearm ones. But like also there's extra animation things we've been working on, or at least Barney anyway. Which like kind of is additive tilting to weapons. So it's kind of like we could kind of do things like tie and fall, where whenever you crouch, your weapon tilts. It's something we're probably gonna experiment with to see whether or not it feels good. I'll just show the rough version of what we have right now. It's very basic. Like we need to get it out of the screen a bit more, but just a general idea. And we also did it for the pistols, where there's a slight tilt before you aim, where it strains out. And it should also strain back out when you start running. So, yeah. As for a lot of people have been asking about the Size model we just teased. We've already added it to replace the current zombies. We're still using placeholder zombie animations just because we don't have anything custom yet. We do have a motion capture suit, but we're just trying to get that settled and actually get people that could do acting for that. So I'll show the zombies.
There's also people and the space as well that needs to be addressed to actually perform these acts, because it's going to be a little bit awkward to sort of do this in like your home, for example. You need sort of space tumbling over and falling and running.
Yeah.
Look at these fledglings.
Oh shit.
I actually do think it's important to make a distinction, because I did see a few comments when we teased this from people that were confused with the sticker that we have in our Discord at the full-fledged infector. Fledgling, basically the full.
This is a baby infector.
one.
He's not fully transformed yet.
Yeah, the fully transformed one is bigger, has appendages and everything you can think of.
Yeah. And they had their wee-wees cut off. So.
They did my man's baby.
It's going to be added into the lore of the game now that you've said it.
Well, I mean, it's literally like we can see the stitches. So.
No, like, yeah, they literally took my man's dignity.
Might explain why you're so angry.
Absolutely. So I get this will be a pretty quick stream. We just wanted to give you guys an update on what we're working on, but we're just going to be taking questions now.
Yeah, I'll try from the previous one.
Yeah, so my eyes hurt right now. So if anyone could read the questions to me, that would be nice.
I suppose what we could do, because I mean we were discussing this earlier, but we could just take turns asking the questions. So I guess Piper, you could do the first one, and I'll take the next one.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's see. First question.
Is there a dedicated text channel for this?
What other weapons are we adding to the game? And I guess instead of a grand, vague system, I guess we could directly say like, what weapon do we plan on adding next?
Oh,
Don't say that.
Sorry. Okay. What was that question? I died in the middle of you asking me that.
Jesus Christ, Chester, make me fucking go through a stroke again. All right. What weapons are we adding next? And where we go into a whole vague thing of like, oh, so many weapons. I guess what gun are you planning on adding next?
What guns do we plan on adding next?
Yeah.
I think our next plan is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's kind of like an M4A1 like weapon that has P90 rounds. Which I forgot the caliber of that, but that's probably going to be one of the next ones. And also, the next potential like weapon type we're going to be adding soon, in terms of like an actual new class, is the light machine gun. Yes, we already been kind of going through the different weapon classes already. So we have submachine guns, UMP and the MP5, the Bull Ace, which is a full rifle, 2 pistols, a bolt action rifle, so we could get a core system ready, and a pump action shotgun. So the next on the list would be a light machine gun to get that custom system in.
Awesome.
Sorry, where are we? Where are we reading these questions? Is there a text channel that I'm not seeing?
YouTube chat.
YouTube chat.
In the YouTube chat. Okay.
Here, while you pull it up, I'll ask this one real fast. Cool. So, will there be bosses?
Will there be bosses? Yes. Well, technically. So we've already put out concept art on our was already like shown on our Kickstarter and whatnot. So we have the Devastator, which that's a really good example of the kind of type of potential bosses we'll have for future gameplay. So pretty much the Devastator will be kind of prowling through the transport halls, which are the big tunnels with vehicles and construction going on in them. And pretty much he'll be near impossible to kill, but you'll mostly have to avoid him. But there is a chance you can kill him. You just have to sink a lot of bullets into him because he's an armored asshole. So
I guess so. The answer really is we do have bosses in the same way you could say the tank from Left 4 Dead is technically a boss. It's just like a big sort of brute
And like I do hope for like at least like some semi-scripted bosses like Half-Life kind of offers. I think that's pretty cool. So we just have to figure those things out. But yeah, we do have those planned, and they're definitely like in our consideration. So
Okay.
and
So that's that question answered.
yeah.
Okay. There's one here. Will SCP-173 instances be featured as a type of boss fight? Oh.
What was that? Sorry.
Will, so, 173B, will those instances be featured as a type of boss fight? Which I would probably say
kind
not
of.
really.
Yeah, kind of, but not really. Definitely the not real, more in not really territory. They're just like they're definitely big threats, and that you can't kill them. But there's no way to even really deal with them either, as at least for in the current plan. So
they're more just like unpredictable events as you progress.
I would almost put them in the same category as those enemies from Soma, like Anders and all that. Like you can't hurt them or do anything really. It's just you got to get away from them.
Yeah.
But with Soma, they're sort of they're coming, whereas with like 173B, you don't exactly know when or in what circumstance you'll be in that they'll appear. It's just sort of you have to act in that point of time as it happens.
Right. Yeah. Next question.
Oh, I guess it's your turn, Python.
Yep.
All right. Well, there's so many good questions. Okay, I'm picking a good one.
Right. And by that, he means he's scrolling up.
Just shut up. All right. What kind of ideas do you have for breaching tools?
So currently we're kind of like, kind of the classics, battering ram, things like that. Likely a sledgehammer. Like it's just like generic impact breaching weapons, at least to start out with. And those could also be doubled as, just weaponry. You could, of course, you'll be able to just kill zombies or other players with it. But we hope to get into more specialized breaching devices in the future, but we don't have a solid plan on those yet. But for now, we will at least be doing the dedicated melee weapons, throwable objects, and the others with the stretch goal reach. And I just realized that we reached 95K.
Yeah, chat busting.
I didn't want to say it, but yes.
How did that happen?
Hey, we have elite backers right now.
What the fuck?
What a weird. It's like the stars have truly aligned.
Oh fuck! Oh wait! I recognize this guy, Ashford. Yeah, he backed us 2K. Thanks, man.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Wow!
Thank you
so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
I think I recognize him.
Way. Jester will send you a link to his private OnlyFans. It's full of forklifts.
Here, I think I have it on Discord. Let me see. I think I do. Oh well, I'll worry about it later. But
that means that we have reached our goal for
we have reached a new stretch goal on Kickstarter.
So that opens up a new line of questions if you have them. Oh, you should probably mention the changes in the 100. Yes, sir?
Oh, is it?
I'm sorry.
All good.
We should probably mention all right. We should mention the 100K stretch goal changes that we made.
Yeah, so we did make some changes to one of the stretch goals, which is the one right after this, conveniently. The 100K stretch goal, which is the Area 12 expansion. We actually, Area 12 expansion is originally going to be the $105,000 stretch goal, but we actually merged it with the security cameras stretch goal. We originally planning on doing drones as well, but we've actually scrapped that idea because we kind of agreed that wouldn't fit the game style, at least for now.
Yeah. We had a discussion about it, and we came to the conclusion that it just wouldn't sort of work with our sort of play style.
But the good news is the Area 12 expansion has been lowered to the 100K, so it's much easier to achieve for you guys. So if you want to help us reach that, then that'll help a fuck ton. So
no pressure, of course.
No pressure, but pressure applied.
Here's 2 questions I could answer really quickly, and then probably could have another one on for you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Go for it.
So will there be any surviving civilians? So in Area 12, there's no civilians really at all. It's a completely clearance facility. It's not like they're up on the surface right now, seeing what's happening in cities. And the second one is, will there be stealth? Yes, there'll be a lot of dynamic stealth. Lighting and
Yeah, yeah,
sound and all of
I could
that.
get into that a little bit more. Yeah. So what our current plans are for stealth? I mean, we've actually already made some preemptive development moves for it. We're gonna have a. So we already have it, which is shootable lights, and shootable lights will be integrated into the stealth mechanics, so the AI won't be able to see you nearly as easily without the lights being there. We will also be integrating it into sound, so any sounds that are in the environment based on their loudness will trigger hordes or other enemies to kind of hone in on you. And that would of course tie into the throwables, which it would emit a sound, they'll attract the AI, they'll go for it, and you could move around them potentially. So there's already things like that kind of already being made. The only thing that's missing right now is quite literally the horde system integration, which Albarni's worked on for I think since the new FPS controller has been developed, so about 7 months.
It's looking pretty good so far.
Yeah. So of course that will have that in addition to a new AI controller blueprint for zombies will massively improve stealth, because it would actually be taking advantage of the things that we've already done for the environment. So, but we will also hopefully do things like night vision in the future, things like that, where you could go completely blackout and still be able to see. And we just, I think that's actually part of a future stretch goal, but.
Of course, it's also important.
Don't worry, my fellow colorblind people. I will make sure it works for us.
It is important to stress, though,
is for red, but
it's important to sort of also mention that the stealth play style is a choice.
Yeah,
you're not
absolutely
strictly required to. I mean, it's good to sort of have your options.
Yeah, and there will still be moments where you'll still likely have to face a big fight anyway, but we do hope that a large majority of the game is going to be your choice in how you approach it.
Okay, so on to the next question.
Yep.
I am going to go on, sorry.
No, I was going to ask who's going to ask it.
Well, it's my turn.
Perfect.
Python got 3.
I got 2. You damn dyslexic.
Okay. I am going to take questions that are most recently posted. So you are welcome to. Well, I mean, you're welcome to also repost your questions if you really want us to answer them. That there's no need to sort of worry about that. Anyways, okay. OV Council asks, would there be team specializations like medic, juggernaut, or sniper? And it would be cool if you add some kind of posters on what final build. Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
we have had discussions about specializations in the past, and we have decided that we might not be doing that. Sort of.
Yeah, but I mean, to clarify though, we're not necessarily going to have preset classes that restrict your loadouts or anything like that. But there will still be specialized items that you could just kind of, I mean, in real time, like with your character, specialize yourself, with free will, pretty much. So if you want to be medic oriented, you could just collect medic items. That's the kind of thing that we're going to be going for. We're not going to be restricting items to certain classes or loadouts. At least for the core story. That's up for debate for future PvP modes. But at least for the core story modes, it's just going to be kind of more roguelike.
We wouldn't want to hinder people's progress based on what they choose to play.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that kind of level of freedom.
Absolutely.
I got a second question then.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. This is a good one. Ping asks, how will we obtain the forklift prong melee weapon element from this?
Yes, it says we
this is a question for you.
I don't fucking know. But no,
just rip it right off of a forklift. Just
that'll be fucking hilarious. But I think that the likely plan is we'll have some type of I mean we already do kind of, and we'll likely just put it there, like a forklift parking garage. I think we have that one in the transfer bay, but we'll probably add an additional one in the storage room and so on, where there will probably be a forklift being worked on, and they probably have their prongs removed, and you get to pick one up some dumb shit like that. That might work. So
So you are against the idea of using superhuman strength to just tear one off of a freshly made forklift.
absolutely, but
Right.
that is funny.
Sorry, guys, no fun allowed.
No fun allowed here.
Hypher, your turn.
All right. Speaking of weapon classes, how will the different guns work against enemies, and how will they respond to them? Why would I run the bolt action and not the M60? Also, will there be a loadout menu?
Good question on the loadout menu. That is not currently planned. Again, out for the core story mode, but we will be having a better starting weapon for sure. Like the bolt action is literally just what we deem to be the worst weapon we have in the game right now. That's why it's the starting weapon. So that way you could be upgrading as you're finding new weapons as you go through the map. But we will make it so there's an actual realistic loadout that you have, but it's still not going to be the best weapon. In fact, that's the weapon I was talking about earlier in the stream where it's going to be. I still can't remember the name of it. I could probably go through Elvis's messages, but it's pretty much an M4A1 with P90 rounds. It's just a lower caliber, but you still have a high fire rate, a decent weapon, and it still looks pretty cool.
Crazy how much things have changed, because
yeah.
used to be the strongest.
Yeah. So, but it's just, again, we're just trying to throttle on what you start out with, so that way you could upgrade your weapons as you're moving through the map and feel like you're progressing. That's kind of the goal there.
It's all about that progress.
And like, who knows? Like, I mean, that's just our plan right now, and that's what we want to do. That could even this could very well change in the future. Like, maybe we will make it so it's loadout based. We don't know for sure yet. That's just what we're currently planning our ideas around.
Okay. It appears this is a highly requested question from the O5 Council. Will proxy chats be a big thing? For example, they will be able to hear you if you're loud enough in the mic. So I guess if you decide to scream, the zombies kind of turn their head and go, "What the hell is that?"
So hot, like.
Why do I hear Rickroll? I know.
I would say we probably be against it, because there's a lot of elements that you have to sort of take into account.
I think this stems down to the actual answer here is it's not determined yet. We're all kind of so it could very well go either direction. In fact, we might just have it as a server configuration thing.
I'm just saying, that would be fun. I think it would be sort of good to allow people the choice on whether or not they want it. So like they could start a game and they can choose whether or not we have that sort of proxy mic option. Because I can imagine the unfortunate circumstances where, as a team, you're stealthing in a room. You're in a room crowded with these with these sizees, and then suddenly, unfortunately, someone's mother walks into the room with a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, definitely up to the server owners. That would be preferable if we did go along that lines.
Absolutely.
But it does have an element, if you're aware as a player base that this game does hot mic at all times. So, be quiet in areas you should be quiet in.
And if someone's hot micing, you know who to shoot.
Quick, silence him.
But no, again, I guess the answer is there's no answer yet. But it's something we are considering deeply. I mean, not deeply, but it's something that we are considering. So
deeply.
It sounds something that we would want to consider, though, given the nature of our game.
I think I personally would like it, even if it would lead to some kind of exploitation. So
yeah. I just think
I think the exploitation could actually be a little funny. So that's my take. So yeah. So next question.
All right. So let's pick another one that's not all about forklifts. What will the weapon customization be like?
Okay, so I mean, we've had this answers in previous streams, but I'll go through it again. Of course, not everyone was there. So pretty much so what we're currently planning is, so throughout the map there will be safe rooms, or quote unquote safe rooms, where there'll be blast doors and you can hide behind them, and like zombies can't get to you, or like other enemies, of course. And within those safe rooms, we hope to occasionally add weapon workstations. So that's where you'll kind of interact with it, and it'll go into like a UI HUD a UI widget where you could, of course, just like go through various attachments that's at that workstation and whatever weapons are there, and just go ham on your gun. So it's not like even though we don't have any like loadout menu, we're still gonna have it so you're able to find ways to actually customize your weapons in detail at runtime. So
that'd be an interesting question, just on the line of continuing those previous conversations. So, in regards to the attachments, would they sort of be pre-established on this workstation, or would these be something that you could maybe find in a level, like you come across an attachment mid-level when you go, oh, well, this would be good. I just have to find a workstation now to apply this to a weapon.
I don't think we've talked about that yet, so I don't want to say, but like the current idea, at least probably what the quote unquote V1, what that would be is you go to a workstation, like all the attachments that you could possibly have are listed in them, and you could just kind of go through and just add whatever you want to your weapons. But that could change.
I suppose I could see the possibility in that being a little bit too overpowered.
Yeah, we have it so some are locked off per workstation, of course, but that's just the current idea. At least for like early versions where we could like debug it, and mess around. That might be what it starts out as. But we very well could make it so you could find different attachments and have to bring it to a workstation or to add them to your weapon. But we definitely don't want to make it so. What we personally don't want is a inventory where there's like a ton of like micromanaging and like a ton of small things to do in it. We want to have it so a lot of features like that are localized to like interactables in the map, like map pieces anyway. That's the way to put it. So yeah, there's still a lot to figure out, but that's the vague idea that we have right now going in our brains.
See. Yeah. Script Soldier has asked, will we still be doing the stretch goals when the Kickstarter ends, like using Steam increments instead?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, like getting the stretch goals now means we're 100% guaranteed able to like fund them.
And also have them developed sooner.
Exactly. Versus, and also just overall just secures us more in general. But because for instance, like just payroll alone between making sure everyone gets like bare minimum pay monthly is gonna run us up into like 12 to 15,000 a month. So it's kind of nuts. So, and it could very well be more if we need to hire more people or like if there's any emergency expenses. So it just like anything that we could get to guarantee that we're able to focus on just doing development, the better. But yes, in terms of stretch goals, we do a lot of the stretch goals we listed are things that we already have our hearts on. It's things that we already want to do. It's just a matter of we can't promise them if we don't meet our stretch goals because then their fate just become TBD.
Yeah. So, will there be different models for when you play the different factions?
Absolutely.
That was easy. Next question. If you carry on.
No, I mean we don't have any specific styles in mind yet, but there will be a different uniform for the FBI UIU. Of course, GOC they'll have a more of a generic uniform, potentially with a blue helmet. I mean that's at least going to be in the Peacekeeper skin. So.
This is something that was discussed.
The Japanese faction, I don't have any idea on yet, and the Russian faction will likely have the iron helmets with a giant like metal visor, but that type of thing. Sorry, what were you saying, Bar?
There might be some connection issues in the Discord side of things.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, to add on what you were saying, is that we did have these discussions before when we were actually talking about the PvP mode that we had planned. Is that typically we want to sort of establish different factions and stuff when in the competitive scene, so that's something that we would of course apply to PvE scenarios as well.
Yeah, and to be absolutely clear, with the with the core factions that we are currently doing, like the Japanese, Russian, FBI, and GOC, They are all allied together. They're not against each other. They're fighting together to go against the Foundation.
They're shaking hands.
For now. Yeah.
For now.
Who knows where that ends up in the future story, but at least in this part of the story, they're completely like focused on one goal.
I have seen this user pose this question about 3 times now.
Sorry, poor guy.
Can you share more on the PvP VE?
So currently, the current general idea, again, lots of shit can change. But the current idea is Meltdown is kind of more planned to be a kind of a payload-like game mode from kind of like Team Fortress 2, where you're kind of like guiding something like a nuclear reactor on rails from the storage, like from a shipping container to the reactor. And of course, the Foundation are the ones trying to recover their reactor because they're the ones being raided. Whereas there's the opposing team, which is the Allies, and they're trying to make sure this facility goes boom. Or I mean, at least a radiation steam pocket. But yeah, that's the kind of
I'd like
core
to make an
premise.
extension to that question, if that's okay.
Well, I mean, I'm still going, but yeah, a little after.
Yeah.
But in terms of the like enemy element or the environment element, the PvPvE is we hope to add like things like the size and stuff like also on the side that you have to deal with, like even though you're all like already combating each other, there's also the AI kind of messing with you as well.
Imagine that moment in a gunfight where you agree with your enemy for a second to pause your differences to deal with a bigger motherfucker.
That'd be interesting, but yeah, we're still figuring out the bigger picture, or sorry, the smaller picture where it's like all the small details. But we have the general broad idea kind of going for us. Anyway, so what we're gonna add to it, Pyro?
Oh, I was going to sort of extend the question by sort of asking about that small detail because, again, there's still a lot that I don't even know. How hardcore of a game mode is Meltdown going to be? Are we going to allow people to sort of respawn after death, or is it like?
As with most of our game modes, we'll probably have a hardcore and casual version where there's no respawns and like casual there's respawns. That's a very well possibility. So.
Okay.
In hardcore, if you die, you have to buy a new key.
I don't want to fully commit to one direction because that could going completely with one could like alienate the other half. So you just want to make sure,
Of course,
while not like making it so it's the quote unquote best of both worlds in one game mode because that's where you alienate everyone. But like having
it's about compensating for all different skill levels.
Exactly, the two different branches that have two different types of players in them.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Right. It's time for me to fish out a question.
Cool.
Ooh. Okay. Well, Ping asks. It seems like I'm a big fan of Ping. It seems like. Will SCP-5000 actually be in the game at all?
5000, the suit. We don't know yet. There very well could be, but not in the current plans. It could be interesting to even like probably feature Pietro somehow, but we don't really know yet. Wait, but
as of right now, it's just inspired.
I think what's kind of potentially the most interesting part about Pandemic in general is not necessarily the direct 5000 event, but rather showing a different side of that story from completely different perspectives.
Yeah, because when everyone reads 5000, they're used to just you following Pietro and the surface. Not the coalition actually dealing with the entities and the fallout of humanity.
And we may even feature the Church of the Broken God in the future as well, because they're like primary allies of the GOC. But yeah, like things like that we want to have more focus on. But if there is a tie-in that would very well benefit everything about what we're going for, then we'll consider it. But if we feel like it will just kind of be kind of unnecessary, then we'll probably avoid it.
Right.
But the suit itself, no, probably not directly. If the suit's in the game, Pietro's going to be in the game. It's not going to be either or.
Easter egg at best.
Yeah, and like Pietro's going to be the only one with the suit as well.
Lore.
Yeah.
So, what is the future plans on throwable grenades, incendiary devices, etc.?
So I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We plan on having grenades, incendiary devices, and so on. So I mean, there you go.
Okay.
No, I mean, I
Nice.
Glow sticks and flashbangs.
Yeah, we will have like things like glow sticks as well. So pretty much in terms of like how they'll work, I think what we currently plan on is either making them a projectile or actually pre-simulating the projectile path with a hit scan. That's kind of that. It's more optimized to do it that way, and you can still get similar results. But that's about it with the tech side. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward if you know what they are. They'll be there in the game, so it's yeah.
It's a shame that with my silly idea of a panic reload, where out of instinct you just take your empty mag and throw it at their head.
I personally love that so much.
You to reload. It had
like
fallen under certain
triple tap bar.
circumstances.
It just like
Yeah,
throw
like-
it. It doesn't even like throw it at them. It impales their forehead.
No,
If it
I
doesn't
would
do
love
very
it
much.
1,000 times more if it had the same mechanics that Hitman did whenever you threw any.
Oh
object. Like,
yes,
freaking
Oh,
light
fuck.
rail to you.
I fucking love the Hitman throwing, dude. So fucking good.
You could throw a briefcase 1,000 yards away and it would just freaking fall
Dude.
over.
Dude, 47 is a hell of a fucking arm.
Okay.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Okay, less about other games and more about ours. Here's a question. Since we've reached our stretch goal, I think it's important to sort of answer. What will the jamming tools do?
Jamming tools. So I mean, the kind of example I guess straight out of SWAT 4 is a door wedge. So you'll pretty much be able to like place a door wedge and to jam the door. It's pretty straightforward.
Basically buys you time from like a rushing group of enemies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if there's a big horde, we might have it so it detects the actual count of like the horde that's banging on the door, and so if it's like exceeding a certain threshold, it could like overwhelm your wedge. But if you have the wedge in, it could probably prevent like maybe like up to like 5 zombies from breaking down the door. Things like that. That's what I currently imagine. But that could change.
It's a good opportunity to allow you to sort of prepare.
Yeah,
exactly. Sort of buy you time to sort of reload, get yourself into a formation, and just sort of shoot whatever comes through.
Exactly.
Why can I literally picture like a squad gearing up, getting all their tack vest on, and then one dude stuffs a doorstop in his fucking pants, and he's like, "You never know, dude. You never know."
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I am going to high check one more question, as you did earlier, Pyther. You can have 2 later. Will certain enemies be able to detect you if you are using the camera wand?
Potentially, actually, yeah. I wouldn't put it past any future plans for sure. It's not currently thought of, but that's actually not far fetched.
Now it is.
Yeah. Thanks for the idea.
All right.
I love free ideas.
Will there be ways to get fully around an SCP or out of the way? For example, maybe sacrificing a member to get rid of it, or keeping the extra member and deciding to make things more difficult.
What? Sorry?
But is there basically any way to get an SCP out of your way, like by sacrificing a teammate, or getting
jamming tools?
Yeah, you use their foot for a wedge. No, I can't think of any specific scenario where that'd really benefit you. In fact, we might try to avoid doing it. I mean, because like, of course, it sounds like interesting in terms of like the aspect of like lore and SCP Foundation, like having like a cool, edgy idea. But I think in terms of gameplay, it'd be incredibly infuriating. It could be funny for like the people doing it, to whoever the friend is, but at the same time, I think it wouldn't be. I don't think it would flow well.
I do also understand the stress of like having 173 constantly on you from start to finish. So I think we have to discuss a means to, I guess, create some distance between them. Maybe you can do something that would otherwise force them to retreat and maybe return back at a later stage of the level.
Right. Yeah, no, the like it could be in an indirect scenario, but it wouldn't be one that we directly make sure happens, if that makes sense. It could very well just be like, hey, hey, shoot your gun in the air and run. Like that could be one, but like outside of that, that's just player choice at that point. That's not anything to do with our design.
That's just up to competency.
So, and next question.
What will the melee system be like? And if there's any information on melee weapons, would you like to share?
So current plan, I mean, not plan. I should be more clear with that. The current idea that we are kind of throwing around is, kind of doing a multi-hit scan trace whenever you swing a weapon. So it will detect like the edges at like a certain interval as you swing it to kind of like see how much you're actually hitting a specific enemy. I think that's how Left 4 Dead does it. So that's gonna be the general idea in terms of how we actually do like swinging weapons. That probably makes no sense to a lot of people that are outside of my head, but so pretty much will be, uh, um, uh, I guess the more like player oriented question would be these type of things. So it will be probably be the third weapon on your wheel. So you click 3 on your keyboard and you'll have pull up your melee weapon, your dedicated one anyway. And of course you'll be able to just, click normally to like swing it. You could probably use like right click to block, things like that could be easily implemented.
I think given the pace of our game, what would be a really nice addition to that would be a button that not only swaps to the melee weapon, but immediately uses it. As you're holstering it, you are swinging it forward, I suppose, because it's a fast-paced game.
At that point, I would personally recommend it would be something along the lines of like depending on what weapon it is. If it's like a smaller weapon, then it could replace your default like quick melee. But otherwise, if you have a big like bulky one like a sledgehammer on your back, then your hotkey would be a weapon bash, which we already have. So, we already have weapon bashing.
A combat knife as opposed to sledgehammer is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like a knife or like a baton, things like that, I guess. But yeah, like that'd probably be how that works in terms of like the more user experience there. But yeah, but we'll make sure like we want to make sure it's pretty satisfying and make sure it actually, if you're getting good hits on zombies, then they'll have more damage applied to them. Versus if you just get like a what's it called, a scathe, it'll do like a little bit of damage but nothing else, and that would just be due to the multi-hit scan trace. So racing party.
No, I was just gonna ask Python if he's already asked the 2 questions. I wasn't paying attention.
I think I don't know, but what? I'm gonna do another one. Go for it. All right. So, will there be other SCPs that are listed in the Site 12 wiki?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, we might circle back on things like 939, even though like I think the instance of 939 in Area 12 is actually just a biological sample of a dead one. We might just like pull this is a video game and just add some live 939s. I think there's a few other Area 12 anomalies listed on the secure facilities locations page that we might take advantage of, but it's, I don't know. It will be mostly just as as generic as it may sound, we're just gonna go for mostly whatever we want, like whatever we think will suit the game. That's gonna be the priority above all else. But yeah, but there might be. There's a few that might be interesting. It's a matter of scope and making sure that we have a true focus when it goes down to core development.
No, it's your turn.
OV Council is a dedicated individual, so let's get that question out of the way.
Okay.
Affray, tell us what side you support. The Onion Republic or Global Forklift Coalition? I will not stop, and I don't care about cost of that knowledge.
I will answer that question if we hit 100K on Kickstarter.
Yep.
There you go.
In that stretch goal.
Or there be weapon, whether it be weapon and
Weapon?
character customization. Weapon and character customization. Yeah, I mean, kind of not nothing too in detail. At least for the character itself. In the main menu, we'll have it so you could like select your various skins from like either Kickstarter or like our supported pack in the future, or like Founders Edition. But like once you load into the game, and of course you'll be able to set it per faction as like what skin you have prioritized for that faction, and maybe some various customizations like skin color, and, like things like that. But what else? In terms of weapons, we already talked about it. We plan on having weapon workstations and
Workstation.
safe rooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we'll also likely have a weapon loadout screen for PvP. But like that's the only place we'll probably do that for. It could very well again, and then it could very well end up if we really like the flow of having the customization in the main menu, we could add it to the main story game mode. But it's just a matter of what we think will flow well, and right now we think will flow best. I mean, and we think the workstation idea will be what flows best currently. So
Nice. Are you planning on adding more SCPs than those on the current concept art?
yeah, probably like for sure, probably around double, probably even more if we are able to get lucky and pursue pretty deeply into this project.
But of course, they're not going to strictly be in Area 12 because we already discussed that we have all these different sort of missions and levels that we want to, provide a unique experience, which we will introduce these different SCPs in.
Which, good reminder, I almost forgot about. Yeah, SCP-3199 is potentially planned for free range, which will be hatchlings coming out of eggs the Foundation have airdropped around the world. So that specific scenario will be you'll be on a farmstead. That's a stretch goal on Kickstarter, of course. That'll be like one of the direct stories coming out of Area 12, at least in the current plan. Because we thought it might be kind of interesting. And of course, we also have Unbearable as a stretch goal, which is about SCP-1048 and his unbearable creations in Paris, France. And they'll be raiding that city, and you'll likely be playing as GIGN forces, like evacuating civilians and protecting them.
And we might potentially have a lizard.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder.
My turn. All right. Ping, I love you, my dude, but I can't keep picking silly questions, but I'll do you this one. Yes, sir. How expensive would a monthly battle pass cost? What amounts would there be to flex on the sizes? What modern day game... Wait. What's a modern day game without a battle pass? Elbow cough.
Literally, the second I saw that and decided I would skip it, I knew you would pick it up.
I appreciate that, Michael.
No, yeah, we have no plans for any like cosmetic passes or anything like that. That's anything live service oriented, we're not gonna be remotely.
That's that's a business practice that we actively try to avoid.
Here's a really good question, actually. How are the bigger SCPs gonna act in crowds? Will they crowd with the zombies and stay in groups, or will they try to stay away from groups?
Sorry, repeat that for me. my brain was somewhere else.
Damn it, Chester. How are the bigger SCPs going to act in groups? Will they crowd with the zombies and stay in groups, or will they prefer to stay alone, away from groups?
Zombies?
No, the
larger SCPs.
Like the Devastator.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry. My brain is like doing that thing where it's like staring. Amphetamine boy. No.
I think if they're going to be part of the sort of the mob of Psyche infectors, it'll be completely indirect. Is that they would have their own sort of personal behavior. So, you know what? I'll pass this over to you, Jesse. You have a element. You have a better idea of this.
So in terms of Devastator specifically, we think other Psyche entities will be kind of like that guy sucks. Like stick away from him because like I think it'd be I don't know. I think it would flow better in general for gameplay, and we might have it so like the quote unquote lore is that they're like, we don't be crushed by that guy by accident. He has no care for us.
I think that would be an interesting aspect because, like the more recent Resident Evil games do that, where like the larger enemies like kind of either push or completely destroy any of the smaller enemies in its way.
I think it'd be kind of interesting if, I mean, this is literally just me like talking as like as I would in like an internal meeting, but I think it'd be kind of interesting if we had it so like there were kind of like the smaller enemies would just like swarm around you, kind of like leaving like a giant like pocket if that enemy was somewhere. So like it kind of creates like a wall around a certain area as he's there. So
Right.
so it's harder to actually escape, but they don't want to be by him. You know,
Dude, I'm not gonna
that'd be
lie. I
interesting.
would love that if we were like dealing with a horde and all of a sudden you hear the Devastator's roar and he's coming and he just freaking bottlenecks like half the crowd. Like he doesn't care about these zombies, just slaps them left and right.
I think it only adds to the enemy's intimidation levels by
Yeah.
doing so.
It could be interesting. Definitely no direct plans there yet, but that could very well be our consideration. Because
Write it down.
right. No, I think with our current horde system, we actually could easily implement a system like that where they kind of avoid a certain volume if there's the Devastator's around. So if the Devastator could likely have us like an invisible sphere around him that would act as like an AI block you volume, quote unquote. But we'll find out.
Quick question: will there be proximity chat? Yes, there will be.
Yeah.
I love proximity chat. If it was just that little bit more immersive.
We even have it set up right now, so like sounds are muffled if they're behind a wall. So like if someone's like talking behind a wall, you're going. So
Yeah,
I think we were also talking down the lines about an intercom chat as well, when like a little
we'll have a
radio.
global, and you'll talk through a radio.
Yeah.
Right. A technical question. What would the minimum specs of the game be at full release?
Like two 3090s, a server CPU with like 124 cores.
You gotta have a 3090 SLI with a Threadripper.
I hope you know someone at NASA.
Yeah. No, we hope to do it like where it's like we hope to gauge it based off of like the average like hardware that Steam has in their analytics. That's our current
modern
target.
day PCs.
Yeah, like I think the most common card right now is still the 1060, so we hope to target that. But and like specific with RAM and stuff, 4 gigabytes won't cut it. I could guarantee that. 8 gigabytes will be probably the territory you'd want. I'd even recommend going up to 16. And probably at least a CPU in the territory of like a Ryzen 3, but like preferably in the territory of 5 or 7.
Yeah, you just get a 2080 Ti in the process.
Yeah. So like, and to be clear, that's not going to be like max specs. That's going to be like probably like making sure you get like 60 FPS on like low settings, but yeah, with like the bare minimum. So it's this is going to be a pretty tough game to optimize. I'll say it's an incredibly big map. At least, especially with the Area 12 scenario, it's a giant, massive interior set. So we had to figure out ways to, or like methods of making sure we can actually unload things from your memory as you actually exit a certain area, and make sure you can't return to it. So we could guarantee it could just be loaded out your memory completely. There's a lot of things we have to consider in making sure it could run well on consumer hardware. Which most of us still have consumer hardware as well to make sure that's clear. But we super consumer hardware. Yeah.
So in short, we care about you.
We care, but it might be hard.
Please remember that.
No promises, but we're going to try our hardest for it.
We sort of like you.
We want your money, so it's a...
Well, would you look at that? You have SCP-682 semi-approval.
But
Speaking of which, your turn.
Yeah. Man, honest to God, you should have made that a stretch goal, Jester. If you made 682 like $105,000 stretch goal, we would have smashed it.
Maybe. I don't think. I think people don't like 682. I don't know, man.
You're a goddamn
For people listening that have no context, I mean, Pfeiffer is one of the the original 682 voice on YouTube. So he likes to boast about it. So I'm doing it for him.
I don't do shit. You're the one who recruited me for that reason.
Yeah. How do you say the channel name again? I always fuck it up, so I want you to say it for me.
Tats Tops videos. Yeah, you always have a freaking aneurysm.
I always say like Tops Tats or something. My brain always.
No, you literally start having a stroke. You're like Tats Tats Tats.
Thank you. But yeah, no, yeah. If you guys look up that channel, he's the 682 voice. No voice effects either, just reverb. That's all. So.
I am the one.
So anyway, more questions?
Yes, more questions.
Is it your turn, Potter?
Oh, I had my question. That was a technical one.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Have you considered the role of an HQ player or an overseer player? So basically the administrator thing we went over in a couple of streams ago.
This is like, I don't think this is anything we talked about in detail, but it kind of has happened naturally because we kind of mess around with some of the core systems we've been working on. In multiplayer, of course. A lot of the quote unquote game mode that doesn't actually exist, like it's more of like literally like people playing, is protect the president. They like to do that a lot. And that might actually could be converted to like an actual game mode of like protect the site director or some shit like that. But that'd be interesting. But I mean, is that the question, or was it about something else regarding that, like the site director? I'm confused.
Well, he provided an example as well. That maybe someone.
No, sorry.
Okay. He did like extend a little bit as an example. He said maybe someone in HQ has a map and has to guide the team through the site, or maybe HQ so I mean like a playable character.
In terms of, I think I see what you mean. Like where like someone's in control room and they look through security cameras and guide you through certain areas. I mean, it's not something that's necessarily going to be a directly playable role, but it's definitely something you could probably do. Like we will be having securities placed around the map, RSEC style, and I think that's actually the recent stretch goal we just hit, right?
Right. I think another thing as well is that we'd have to, of course, talk about how fun would that be for someone, because it's not as engaging as opposed being within the facility and actually shooting stuff.
Oh no, sorry. The security cameras is the next milestone, which is 100K. Sorry.
It would be good for a game mode where somebody didn't have a respawn though, like they could help while they're dead.
I think that was one of the issues.
So pretty much what could happen there is you could technically do it, but like it's not going to be directly supported, because I think it'll be an incredibly boring role to play for like most people if it was like a required like role. But you could very well, let's say, if you just literally want to support your team by like telling them like where to go and like what threats are up ahead, someone could stay behind in the control room and just look through the security cameras.
I think we have to look at other examples as well, because I mean, I believe an earlier rendition of what was the computer 079, was it?
Yeah.
So like there was an early rendition of 079 for SCP Secret Laboratory that a lot of its criticism was just it was boring to play, because you're just going from camera to camera and just choosing to lock or unlock doors, whereas everyone else is sort of having fun. And of course they it didn't work as well.
Which is a super cool mechanic, I'll say. I do think it was actually cool. It was definitely a really cool idea. I'll 100% stand by them on that. But
yeah, but we'd have to sort of discuss a means to sort of keep it enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's just about all that comes down to.
At the end of the day, it's all about that gameplay.
So again, the mechanics will be there. If you want to do it on your own, you could make that choice. Otherwise, you could just run ahead to the rest of your team, and if you get bored, so there you go.
Yeah.
I believe it's my turn to ask a question.
Wow.
It's also worth mentioning if you do have a question, like a lot of people, make sure you put a Q at the beginning so I know it's a question and not just a comment in regards to the stream.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we probably should have said that out loud. Well, go.
Elaborate Ruse asks, have you considered having randomly generated environments? For example, 6 days in Fallujah, I think is how you pronounce it. That's doing something
Fallujah.
where the environment changes each time. Oh, I can't pronounce things. Leave me alone.
No, not to that pedigree. No, it's gonna be very tame in terms of randomization.
Yeah,
We want to make sure we can fully optimize things in terms of both lighting and pre-computed static visibility, and so on, so on, so on. And in order to do so, we have to make sure most of the environment is pretty static. But outside of that, there will be some randomized elements. We will try to make it so there's different paths to take, and to make sure that like sometimes you are forced to take those extra paths in different what's the word? In different games anyway. So that's kind of the direction we're going. It's I guess like
yeah.
a comparable example is more like Payday 2 versus an entire randomly generated town like Fallujah.
Yeah, so you'll play like one level in like one run, and then you'll play it again, and you'll realize that there is one door somewhere else, as opposed to where you originally knew there was a door. There isn't anymore, and the location of different rooms have now changed. Whereas it was on one side of a building, now it's on the opposite side. So basically, a lot of the geometry isn't going to change, but the accessibility of that geometry will, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Ignore this red square. I'm just doing something.
Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel.
Wait, oh, you can't free transform it? Oh, that's dumb. No. Oh, I'll fix that. I'm trying to like highlight on the stream with like a red box I made in Infinity. Sorry.
So, due to the game being tactical, will health not progressively heal? So, will there be items around the map to bring health back, or will it passively regen by a toggleable server thing? Jesus.
What?
Spread
we
it
already
fucking dyslexia to me or something like.
Well, we already have health. Well, we have health cabinets. I don't think we would want to do the health regen system because I mean, typically it's not very realistic. Your wounds don't just sort of close up within a matter of minutes. It's just not. It's not realistic. So I'd love to do some medical research on you, Jester. It seems like a breakthrough in medical science. But yes, we have medical cabinets, and we're probably going to have some smaller pickups as well along the lines. We're still discussing it, but we're not doing the regen, to my understanding.
No.
Okay, next question, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is one that I addressed, and I know that we're a little bit iffy on it. To be clear, I'm not biased. It's just Ping happens to be asking this. Blinkers, will they exist? I presume he means like kind of similarly to the 173 mechanic, where you will naturally blink because that's.
I think there's something specific he's referring to.
A lot of people are familiar with.
But technically, yeah, that is a part of it. But yeah, so there'll of course be dash C and dash B. They're in fact they're on the screen now as little icons. But I think the same with MTF statues, which are the blinkers, quote unquote. There's a chance. In fact, it's something that should be pretty easy to integrate with existing 173 AI controller. It's very possible. Yeah, I mean that's all there really is to it. It's a possibility. I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't see why it wouldn't happen. But at the same time, it just depends on how well we can make it fit. Yeah. Yeah. For context, Pyro, like the blinkers are part of like the 5,000 canon. Like I think they kind of use them as kind of sentries for facilities, like where they kind of guard them to some degree. So it's.
I see. You have to excuse me. I'm a bit of a peasant with SCP knowledge.
But they're pretty much 173s, but just MTF statues. So.
That sounds horrifying. I love it.
Yeah. So, any more questions?
Well, Python appears to be absent, so I'm going to commandeer his line of questioning. Would it be SCPs that pin you down, like the Charger from Left 4 Dead, or is another example Hunter from Left 4 Dead?
I don't know. Not currently planned. In fact, I don't think we've even remotely talked about anything like that yet. But it could end up coming into conversation here.
I can see that being a little bit unfair in terms of solo play, whereas one single enemy can just ruin your entire run. So that's something that we have to discuss.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we don't know. I think that's a
Okay. Will security, let me try that again. Will security cameras work with a tablet, and will you have access to all of them, or would you have to do something to unlock them?
I'm not sure about the tablet thing, but they will for sure be like it'll be a terminal you can interact with, like in a security room, and it'll kind of like overlay. It'll overlay like a UI widget over your screen, and you can interact with various cameras to view them.
We do have a
That's the current plan, and it could expand into something like that. Who knows? But that's not the current plan. But yeah, we do. What were you saying?
I was just going to say we do have a tablet, but I think the functionality of it isn't strictly like a map thing.
No.
One of the criticisms that we discussed is people like their realism, right? And we want to sort of, I guess, communicate the objectives in a way that doesn't necessarily require an interface. So we had the discussion of like a tablet.
Yeah, meta elements in general are going to probably be communicated with a wrist tablet. An example of like actually what we're kind of like thinking about is, funnily enough, kind of like what Admiralty and Stephen Hancock did in SCP Overlord, where they have some of the SB operators kind of like have like a phone-sized tablet on their inner wrist, and that you could like pull that up to check it to see your team's health or like nearby objectives, all that stuff. We think that'd be a cool way to communicate it, communicate the meta thing. So, yeah.
What will you be doing to keep the replay value of the game up? That is a good question.
There's quite a few plans. It's hard to divulge everything, especially on limited time. But sorry.
He's a sleepy boy.
I'm trying to think of a few things as examples.
This man here got up just for you. He could have still been sleeping.
My sleeping schedule's so broken right now. I even tried taking a nap before, but I couldn't fall asleep, so that's fun.
Yeah, with the scale of the game, like replayability is incredibly important, and we are discussing all of our different options, all while trying to sort of keep to the core idea. So we don't necessarily want to do anything too sort of level progression intensive, because well, I mean, people don't really like the idea of like a game turning into a grindfest for certain goals, I suppose.
No.
But we are sort of delving into the idea, like for example, the random, I guess, environment circumstances where the different paths and stuff will hopefully make things a little bit interesting for you each time you play. But again, these are all different ideas that we are still discussing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, I can't like think of any specific examples right now. There's a lot of like things kind of floating through, and it's hard to think of a lot of specific things right now for me. So in terms of that, but it is a pretty huge focus for us. Or like, sorry, it's a huge concern of ours that we want to make sure it's taken care of. So
we'll give some more details once we sort of have a better understanding on what we want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have a lot of ideas, but none of them are necessarily like for sure going to be enacted on, and that's kind of my issue with trying to like come up with a few to tell you guys, because I'm not sure what we've fully decided on yet.
And it's important to sort of note that your feedback is important to us. So if you have any suggestions on what you might think will keep bringing you back and keep playing, we'd love to hear it.
As long as they don't suck.
As long as they don't suck. That is a big, bold, underlined detail here.
Yeah, we do have a Discord server for if anyone wants to bring up any ideas. So we do read the Discord channels quite a lot. We may not directly respond, but we do read the ideas, and we do take them in and talk about them quite a bit. So if anyone does want to join us, it's discord.gg/Affray. So you should be able to find the link on our website and our channel. So.
Right. Oh, Python, where are you? I'm not good with this whole talking stuff. Question:
Neither am I.
Since there's going to be a proximity chat,
Hmm.
would it be a walkie-talkie to communicate? Yeah, we were actually sort of
Yeah.
saying that there are different means of communicating with proximity chat. Is
Yeah.
that we will have like a sort of, I guess, radio channel, I suppose.
Yeah. Like the likely case of what we're probably going to set up is, at least for the core story game mode, it could very well be different for, like an actual PvP scenario. But just like core game mode, we're thinking about it automatically switching channels between the radio and the proximity voice based on your distance from one another. So if like let's say you're like over like 10 meters away or something like that, it'll like switch over to like radio versus um, being local proximity. It's
It
kind
would
of
also be
an example is kind of like how like a lot of the NPCs, the character NPCs work in Grand Theft Auto 5, where if you're next to them, you could hear them talking to you, but as soon as like you get far away or like leave the car or whatever, they talk to you over like a radio or something, like GTA
I
5
think it's
has.
good that, yeah, like we sort of simplify the idea. And I think,
Yeah.
I know that this is sort of like throwing out the idea immediately, but I think it would be quite interesting if the player is absurdly too far from, another person, is that the only thing that would come through to them is just static. Whereas like the closer they are, the more clear the transmission would be. I think that would be quite an interesting thing to sort of play with, to sort of give the idea of distance between them.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a few things that we're probably going to be doing there.
All still being discussed.
We've already done a few things that are kind of like preemptive to a lot of these mechanics, but we will be expanding on them over time. So, especially with the way the Kickstarter is looking right now, so it's just really crazy.
Turn the game into a mod fest, Devil May Cry 5 style.
uh,
You're not much of a DMC player, are you?
no.
Okay.
But no, sorry.
Kind of
I'm sorry. So my brain just like had a hard stop there. No, no,
I guess I'll simplify the question. What level of modding would be available to our game?
well,
Makes
I mean,
sense.
so pretty much what the current idea is, we do want to we do have a pretty high interest in modding, at least modding capabilities. But we just don't have any promises for that yet because we're not sure what we're able to necessarily do until we have a lot of our things established, like the core mechanics and like our distribution like nailed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like we're gonna play it by ear for the most part, but we do at least want to have a way of making it so there could, like, even unofficial mods are able to be easily supported versus like completely restricted. So at the very least, there will be like a ways to mod the game like without like official support. Hopefully, especially if we talk to a few of the various Unreal modders to make sure let's just see what we can do to make sure we're not impeding on it. But the best case is certainly we do want to consider at least releasing a mod kit through the Epic Games launcher, which is required, by the way. That's just how mod kits work, because it's Unreal Engine. But and will likely be distributed either through Workshop or Mod.io. Mod.io is actually, or the parent company Mod.io, Debacle, is actually one of our main investors. So
But with a mod kit, of course, it sort of takes sort of time and money to sort of produce something like that. But we
yeah,
would love to, we love the idea of doing it. I think it's important to sort of give as much freedom to, people as possible, because
yeah.
it's just, I mean, to make it clear, the reason that we're not doing it is not for any sort of monetization purposes. We wouldn't want to
No.
sort of create a
It's-
means to sort of make any sort of microtransaction.
Yeah, no, it's just a matter of what we can do. That's really all it comes down to. We really want to, but we're not gonna directly scrap it out of any greedy like ideas or anything like that. It's just literally like, if we could do it, we will. But if we can't, we don't have the time to officially support it, or if there's like some issues with the code base where it would be really hard for people to work with it, that's gonna be something that we have to work through before we enable mod support, or at least like
We'd
open
also-
mod support through like an Unreal Engine SDK. So
There's a lot of things that have to be discussed in that subject, because
Yeah.
again, there is a certain level of modding that you can sort of allow to sort of be client side to yourself as opposed to everyone else. Like you can custom, like say for example, with modding, you could customize a weapon texture which doesn't necessarily appear for everyone else, but allows you the freedom to do so if that's how you prefer to play your game. It's a matter of like what things can we permit.
Yeah. I will say a very likely chance is if there were to be an open kit, like C++ would be completely restricted, and some potentially some blueprints will be restricted as well, like compiled into binaries. But that's about all we would really go to. That would just be mostly to make sure we're preserving some. So, next question. Did my internet cut?
We don't mean to come
my internet
across
cut
like
out.
neglecting any sort of questions.
My internet cut out.
Okay.
What were you guys saying?
I was gonna take another question, but I also just want to establish is that we're not intentionally ignoring any sort of questions. We apologize if you feel neglected. There's just a lot of questions that we have to get through. And me and Python kind of prioritize whichever one we see first.
Yeah, and in fact, we've actually been already running over what we already planned, but which is fine.
Anyways,
but we could go for probably like another 10 minutes or so, and before I want to sleep. So,
here's a question.
Okay.
So, how about we answer his question?
Yes, absolutely. How would the lighting of the environment be handled in the game? Could we possibly see SCP-610, the flesh that hates, and other info related to other goals?
Well, 610 is flesh that hates, but yeah. No, 610 is actually a possibility, at least for future stories. For Airtel specifically, probably not. But it could be a potentially, because I mean 610 is actually utilized instead of the 5000 cannon, so we probably could actually kind of recreate that scenario with our own twist as we are with free range and unbearable. So that's a possibility. In fact, I think that's something that we've actually talked about before, and we have like typed out in Google Docs. We just don't have like any like solid premise for it, so that's why it's not listed on the Kickstarter as a stretch goal, because we just don't necessarily know all the details yet. But with 610, it likely won't make it to the Area 12 thing, Area 12 scenario, but it will potentially make it to its own within like a city or urban environment or something. So
I think one of the things with Lighten as well was, again, when we sort of provided a lot of content creators to try our game, one of the things that they pointed out is they kind of like the game darker, but we also want to sort of mess around with lighting environments that are either sort of beneficial to the player or just generally fun to or tie them into an objective in a way that makes sense. Like lighting is a good means to sort of communicate to the player that there's power, and power means that doors can be opened or certain objectives can be accessible, like computers and such. So that's definitely something that we want to mess with, something that I guess makes sense. That is Piper's child.
Funny.
Okay, Piper, your turn. I'm going to actually take this opportunity to go AFK and grab a drink.
Yep.
Okay, well, will there be a rain?
Well, my internet actually cut you out. Sorry.
God damn it, Jester! Get some fucking land.
I love how it's always happening with you as well. I'm either like spacing out or my internet's fucking you up. It's so
running a goddamn studio with fucking dial-up.
Anyway, sorry, what was it? And it might have been your end for all we know.
But a rank system.
Right now, not currently planned now.
Well, that was in depth.
Yep. I mean, there's no plans here, so there's nothing to say.
All right. Will the enemies be randomized? Like a boss enemy could spawn earlier or later in the level?
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. I think that's about all that really goes down to. Right now, the plan is mostly to have like some set spawns for like the big boys, but I mean, I don't see what the harm would be in having like randomized locations for them if we're able to. It's just a matter of how well we could suit it with different things, because there may, like with a big creature like the Devastator, there's not really many places where you could put it in the first place. So it's yeah.
I mean, it would make a huge difference though if you're planning out your route, like you know for a fact, like the first room is going to harbor this guy, and then the second room is this guy, and all that. You'd have to
Yeah.
change up your whole game.
So yeah, who knows? Next question, I guess.
There is
There's
no
not really.
more questions yet.
There's none. Let me scroll through. Let me go through, like, just make sure we don't miss any.
Oh, here's a new one. Would you like to elaborate more on the player controller expansion, like all the features you want to add?
Yeah. I mean, let me just pull something up so remind myself. 1 second. Yeah. So, of course, like what's publicly listed already is like the vaulting, mantling, improving like what we already kind of have going for it. Like small things like weapon inspection, kicking doors down, night vision, like that's already listed, of course, and I'm sure you already saw that. So,
Yeah.
but so pretty much in regards to that, I'm trying to think of because like for a lot of it, it's like a quote unquote given to me. So I'm trying to think of what what information I could give to people that aren't in the know.
Break it down.
Break it down. I don't know. I guess the way to put it is, because like right now we kind of like the core necessities for like a player controller for at least for an FPS. So the player controller expansion will just be expanding on that, making it so there's like more like maneuverability for the environment. Makes just giving you more options in general to play with. That's just kind of the biggest focus with it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there'll be a lot of animation systems that we would need to set up in like for things like vaulting and mantling. That'll be probably one of the hardest bits of that expansion. And of course, we'll need to, of course, set up like an animation system for the right and left legs potentially. So right now we kind of have it. So there's like offhand support for your left arm. So and like you're able to like we're able to like play like taunts technically, and also like interaction, like grabbing motions and all that stuff. But well, so pretty much we'd have to do a similar system, but we would need to set up for the player's legs, which will be kind of actually iffy because we have to make sure you're not in the middle of like your kid's not in the middle of like running while you're going for a kick or something, and like it looks super jank. Like if your legs like your left leg's forward and like you're going for a kick with your right leg, that might look really stupid. So there's a lot of like fine tuning that has to go with the player control expansions, make sure it just doesn't look stupid.
Yeah.
In terms of like vaulting and manslinging, we'll probably have to do animation warping for the character going semi horizontal for like going over various objects. What else is there?
Hardcore.
It just overall, there's a ton of animations we'd have to do in general for this update. Like it's mostly going to be animation system setup. Like, and that's going to take quite a bit of time on its own.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, that's probably actually technically the main focus there. Now that I kind of realize, because with like the vaulting mantling, that's a big animation system. The improved system, or like the improving the core systems, is mostly animation related, and like making sure things like kind of look a lot better. We have better animations and whatnot. For like first person weapon inspection, that's a first person animation system. Door kicking, that's a first person, or sorry, a third and first person animation system. Night vision, it's not an animation system, of course. I mean, technically that would be offhand, but that's already made because your hand will pull up and pull the goggles down. But those are kind of the main workflow burden there.
In that whole player controller expansion, are you planning on adding a prone system or anything?
That might be part of number 2 whenever we're able to get to that. And like we're almost certain we're not going to get through most of these stretch goals for this campaign, but they are our overall goals for just future content expansion in general. So number 2 will likely be a silent edition that no one necessarily knows that that's what it's called, but that's going to be one of our focuses in the future. But we do want to do prone and stuff like that. And also something that could be a part of the player controller expansion, like the first one, is potentially bipod mounting. We already have support for that. In fact, a lot of the same work between bipod mounting and vaulting / mantling is actually pretty much a lot of the same work. And we actually have some of the core systems to kind of go with that. In fact, some people like watch our earlier stream when we're playing in the actual Unreal Editor directly. They can see a yellow arrow pointing off of the edges, and that's actually our early surface detection for vaulting and bipod mounting. But how do I word this? Or what's the word next anyway? Yeah, it just
It's a lot.
yeah. Oh yeah, and also okay. In terms of prone, yeah, but prone it could be an easy number two, or maybe we could work it into this one, depending. But that's not the main focus of it because there's already a lot of work that would go into this one. But because like prone is a whole other beast because you have to actually make the player capsule collision go horizontal, make sure that's replicated, because it's not supported on Unreal necessarily by default in a good way. So we just had to probably make our own system for them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm returned, by the way. I just didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. So sorry. It seems like my brain's going everywhere because it is. My brain's going everywhere.
Yeah, I feel it. Jesus, I have a kid. So,
Gross.
I feel great. I don't know about you two.
Will big SCPs like the Devastator be able to crush the infectors in their path if they come in contact? If so, like, will you be able to lure them and use them?
Yeah, I mean, as mentioned before, I mean that's something I jokingly brought up already in the stream, but like it very well could end up being an actual thing for all we know. But it's not.
I think that's what
currently.
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
We joked about it, and then I guess in our heads went, you know what, actually?
Yeah. It very well could end up being that way. That wouldn't be far fetched. It just depends on replication and stuff like that. That's the main thing.
And given the circumstances, I don't think you will have time to even plan that kind of maneuver, I suppose. Is that there's going to be so much sort of going on around you that the chances, like for the larger enemy to sort of charge through and injure a lot of its own would just be completely coincidental, but it will look very cool.
Here's two questions I can answer real quick, and then Pyro, you can pick them back up.
Okay.
So, will the game be PC only? Currently, it's just going to be on Steam for early access, but the future and what we discuss for console porting is just TBD because it's a whole separate entity. So it will be determined, but it's not. What the fuck is the word I'm looking for? It's not like carved in stone yet. Nothing. Yeah. Also, will the 173B plushie be sold separately outside of the Kickstarter in the future on our website?
Yeah, we're not sure about a price yet. It's pretty expensive to get per unit anyway, like even to order through a manufacturer. So especially if you're not going through unethical sources. So yeah. So
manufacturing, we have discovered it's really hard to replicate the anomalous elements of the statue. We want it to actually be like a real 173B.
But I'll try to. So I think the plushie would be a lot of fun to sell though, because I want to order like custom what are we called drawstring bags with like the containment cell logo on it, like a mobile anomaly transporter. I don't know. I think some dumb things like that would be really fun.
That would be adorable.
So
you have to do it now.
No, we've actually talked about it already in the private Discord quite a bit. Yeah, I was yeah. That'll be super cheap and easy to do to throw in addition to the plushies, and there's no point not to. So, yeah.
1 second, I have to.
Oh, good. Yeah, so no, we do plan on selling the plushie outside of the Kickstarter. In fact, I think it might potentially be a pretty good hit because it's a pretty adorable thing. So.
I'll ask a question, I guess, while Pyro deals with the impeding storm. So, what is the main difference between 173 and 173B?
C and B or
like
the
peanut and 173B.
I mean, there's a lot of physical differences, I suppose, that are pretty obvious. But so I mean, I guess in case it's not known, Dash B is also quite a bit taller, but also B also has maneuvering arms and or like okay, his entire body is a snake. Like that's the best way to put it. He's entirely flexible. He will be changing between different poses as you blink. He will be quite sexy, but yeah, no, he's quite the character for sure. I'll say. In fact, I could switch over to my scene real quick.
Why don't I just
Oh,
think of like a
OBS.
concrete slithering noise?
It'd just be closer to sort of concrete being dragged along the ground, but I do have 15 minutes left, unfortunately. So
Yeah, that's
great.
yeah. We could probably get the stream in 4 minutes. I think probably a good time.
Okay. Well, here's a question for the, I guess, sound department of things. Would there be music for big SCPs when they spawn, like the tank in Left 4 Dead?
Oh, sorry, like dynamic music depending on like what
Oh,
enemies.
I mean, yeah. Like the tank has its own sort of theme that plays whenever it appears.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool.
you know that it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've indirectly thought about things like this before. Yeah, no, that's definitely a very real possibility for sure. And it's very like with
Quite
the
a common
systems.
thing with a lot of bosses.
Yeah, it's something that we already it would already be a part of like something we're going to develop anyway, so it'll be easy to tie in. So I think might as well if it's my mentality on it. So Snake.
What's the difference between 173 and 173B?
What
On
goes down to
173B, the blink. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Hmm?
It appears that
Who's
there's
asking the peanut question again?
the peanut question. Would there be ways to fund the stretch goals beyond the Kickstarter?
I mean, yeah, if we get it through any other means, Patreon, Steam sales, like whatever.
Yeah,
we are actually updating 173B's model, but why is that? Didn't even notice the tiny.
I'll party to that, of course.
I rig these things so you take it seriously, Jester.
Why do I just, whenever you pan the camera up at him from this angle, I literally just hear Dio's voice from JoJo just, oh,
It's funny you say that. That's what a lot of people are saying. In the,
JoJo.
I guess we're running low on the question side of things. Is there any that?
Are the current plan, are the currently planned models for zombies the only ones that will be in the game, or are you planning on later down the line adding more? We have a lot more.
Well, the models for the zombies are sort of on a similar scale to Left 4 Dead. Is that we want to portray the stories that people worked in these facilities and they are not what they used to be. So you're going to be seeing a lot of different sort of variations of like sort of researchers or maintenance outfits or security guards, but with the twist of them being, well, affected by the SCP. So there's more. It's just we have to, of course, get around to it.
All right, what do you guys think will be a worthy last question?
Okay. All right. Pick a
Definitely.
good one. Somebody drop the mother of all questions, and it shall be the final one. Give the people a second for the cogs
Okay.
to sync up.
You got me worried that my internet cut out since the question came in.
You know what? This is a good question because everything we've been asking is technical. This question pertains to us, the devs. Are we having fun with the project?
I think, yeah, quite a lot, yeah.
On most days.
Yeah, most days. Of course, as with anything that's, it's still a job. It's still work. It still gets stressful. But like in the end, it's something that we want to do, and it's something that means a lot to us to be able to have the chance to do in the first place. So it's, it's worth it. That's what it comes down to.
Look, the project for us in long term has, for the most part, been, I guess, out of our passion because there really wasn't sort of much money coming from it up until now, where we can actually sort of treat it like a full time job and put a full focus into it. So it's a bit of a relief in a way because I really like this project and I'd love to sort of see what we can do with it.
Yeah, we've been
Nobody.
with pandemic specifically. We've been around on this for about 3 years now. Like potentially going up to 4 for pandemic alone. So it's quite crazy.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of changes. I guess it's kind of been in its own small personal development hell where we weren't really sure what we wanted to do with it, hence the results of Ascension. But where we are now, we are more than happy and comfortable with saying that this is what we want the game to be, and we have a pretty good vision on what we want the end result to be.
Absolutely.
Nobody can question my dedication to this project because I have had damn near 2 children since the beginning of this fucking thing.
I don't know, man. Are you dedicated or?
I'm still here. In this concentrated box of stupid.
But overall, yes, with just the focus of the game alone and excluding any sort of complications with our personal lives, yes, we absolutely love working on this game.
Plus, whenever we get frustrated, the community definitely picks us up. We have just reams and reams of support, and it's amazing.
It's a great motivator.
Appreciative of it, yeah.
Absolutely. Just gonna screenshot this too. My 7.3 just looks so cool in the editor. Jesus.
We're going to update his model too as well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Whenever I see the statues that we have of them in the dev testing map, I just literally picture like new character in Smash Bros. Introducing a new challenger.
He'd be the most useless thing ever because he can't move. Everyone can
When
see
you
him.
look away because you assume he can't move. Then you die. And then we see Pikachu get Pika-Pond.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah, I guess we could cut things here now. But no, we absolutely love working this project. We're super thankful for the opportunity the community has given us here, and that's ultimately what it does come down to. If it wasn't for like the crowd support here, this wouldn't be nearly as possible. This would just be a constant grind to even remotely get like anywhere financially and to be able to actually take care of ourselves while working on this project. Like in order to like cover like a lot of what we've had to do, it would almost certainly require full-time careers outside the studio. So to be able to actually work on this, at least like a good amount of us full-time, it means a lot to us. So
the patience especially is appreciated because
Yeah.
there are people that have been around since the project was still called Ascension, and through its ups and downs, you guys stuck around, and we're thankful. But honestly, like it's amazing what you guys do for us.
It's honestly surreal to actually think about that because, there's like dozens of people that are still here from the original days, and like they're all still like supportive and very like
when you didn't have to be.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yes,
No, it's
we're all
crazy.
very, very thankful.
In fact, I think I've been pretty open at the fact that like we definitely I definitely would have understood any like massive criticism, but yeah, I don't think we've ever really got anything too heavy from anyone. Everyone has been always super nice to us. That's really weird. But
it's just surreal. It really is the amount of support that we have, and we will refuse to let everyone who supported us this far down. So we will pump out the best project we can,
especially with how things are now. With how do I word this? Because now we're the highest. I mean, like as long as everything goes through, of course, with Kickstarter, which I think at this point it's more than definitely gonna happen. We're the highest funded like project or SCP project ever, Like this is actually kind of crazy. So I mean, sure, we may not be the highest earning in general yet, but like for the amount of like upfront funding to make sure it could actually be brought to fruition, we're definitely
Should mention
yeah.
highest funded SCP.
I did say that, but yeah.
Oh, you did?
Um,
Okay, I just heard highest funded project. It might be the
I,
quality of
I
Discord.
think I slipped it, but I quickly corrected. I was like, oh shit. But no, it's weird. It's honestly weird to look at the project, or sorry, the Kickstarter, because and not only did we go through the first goal, we're actually kind of closing on 100K, and I think the highest other SB project, the highest funded other SB project on Kickstarter is like I think 23,000. So we're kind of
Over.
yeah, which is something that we highly respect, and we actually know Evan and Steven, but it's honestly very surreal to actually see how much this has gone up, because it doesn't have just implications for us, it has implications for future SB creators that want to actually bring their ambitious projects to fruition, and to be given this chance to hopefully prove that like this could happen with more SB projects is honestly very awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So
It's a great day for everybody. We're awesomely thankful, obviously, that we're now able to get our project out, and it's also a huge step for the SCP community as a whole. I really see some awesome pieces of media coming out over the next few years, just related in SCP. Just this is a forward momentum that the whole community needed to get the word out to others.
yeah, because we've had constant issues with working with or trying to get like things done with publishers or investors and whatnot. We've been incredibly lucky to get the support we have through various companies like the Bolical and whatnot, but it's
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard sell with something that's Creative Commons based, and something that
Yeah.
like the publisher can't directly control. And it looks like that's something that they actually kind of deem threatening in most cases. So to have that chance to. Oh, did I cut out?
No.
Oh, I think you said what? I was like, oh, damn
No, I said,
it.
yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
I
No.
was just gonna say, yeah, you're completely right, but yeah, this is especially with how high we've raised our funding so far, the whole SCP community will start being taken more seriously in all media platforms.
As long as we don't butcher this chance, of course, which we really
Yeah,
don't want to.
we're not gonna unity this. Don't worry.
You should. But yeah, no. But no, we don't plan intend on dropping this project at all. It's something that we have high passion for, and we are constantly working with each other to make sure things go through.
Yeah, for sure. Until we move it on Unreal 5 and everything breaks.
Hell yeah. So, until then. Yeah.
Okay. So should we conclude the stream?
Wrapping up
absolutely.
Notes. We love y'all, and we're dumb.
We're very dumb. We're very dumb, but we're very thankful for the opportunity here. So, yeah.
Glory to the GFC.
Oh my god. Well, I guess we'll go to thanks for coming, Screen.